How's it going, average Joe readers? I'm back with another video, and editing me. Whoever said you need to keep evolving and trying new things is wrong a lot of times, because I tried to do a new recording software for my vlog today, and even though I selected the mic before, the mic was not selected, so it went off of my computer microphone, not my good microphone, which is right directly in front of my face. So I don't like to re-record videos, it would take way too much time. So yeah, the sound quality for this video is going to be subpar, which sucks, and I hate it, and it's gonna kill me. But I don't want to re-record an entire 20-minute video, so just a heads up on this, and life lesson to just don't try new things. Just tried and true, keep with it. Today I wanted to recap my reading from October, fall, the creepy season reading that I did, follow up from what I wanted to read, and yeah, so it was pretty decent reading creepy season, Halloween season reads. I only did it for about 5 or 6 weeks ish, and then I kind of like gone back on track with other things, but I still try some new things out. So I'm going to go through my chronologically how I read them. But first, thanks for being around, coming to my videos.
But don't you forget, you're my #1 customer.
Watching, liking, subscribing, everything like that. Especially if you want to keep watching videos, please like and subscribe. Those always help my channel out. I do plan on doing more. I'm going to be transitioning. Well, I've already basically transitioned into Christmas season, let's be honest.
Put that cookie down now.
So yeah, more Christmas videos are going to be coming. Not completely sure what yet. I got like way ahead on recording, so I had to like stop for a little bit because I just kept making videos and getting too far ahead. But now to check in on my Halloween type reads. First one I did was audiobook. It's called Some Danger Involved. This is kind of like a not newish, but a different kind of twist on Sherlock, kind of. It takes place in like the 1860s London. There's a very eccentric type detective, and you're in the POV of his new assistant that he's trying to hire. So you go through the process of how he gets hired, because he's literally living on the street. And this detective person, private investigator, hires him to track down a murder and some other things going on. And it was very good. I listened to the audiobook. It is a series. I think I gave it 4.5 stars or 4 stars. I enjoyed it, especially if you like those murder mysteries, London setting, late 1800s, that sort of murder mystery classic setup, then this is fantastic to read. The audiobook was even very good as well. It was a very short one, but it sets it up for more books. And yeah, it is what it is, detective murder mystery story. And so if you like Sherlock and you want another type Sherlock type reads, or if you've liked the Sebastian series that I've recommended as well, this is another one to go into, although Sebastian already has like 17 books, so you might still be on those. So Some Danger Involved, that was very good. I did enjoy it. Next is kind of a big one. No, not really that big of one, but Wayward Pines. I listened to the entire trilogy of Wayward Pines in about 10 days. So I started it, and it just kind of pulled me in. My wife is listening to it now. She kind of finds it a little bit weird, but that's whatever. I mean, it's Blake Crouch. He's going to have some weird twists and new things going on, which this one does, which is why I can't really talk that much about it, because there's a big like mystery thing happening in this book that once it's revealed, it changes everything, but I can't say what it is now, so I can't tell you anything about the future books. But basically, this guy wakes up in a town called Wayward Pines. He is a Secret Service detective, and he's searching for his partner, or his old partner, and her last known location was this town. And he wakes up from a car crash in this town, completely disoriented. At first, he doesn't even know his name, has memory loss, but then it slowly comes back to him. He realizes why he's there. He tries to talk to people. He tries to call home. The phones aren't working. He tries to leave town. He can't leave town. There's no road out of town. Everybody acts really, really weird, and it's just a very suspicious, weird type town that he doesn't know what the heck is going on, or why people are the way that they are, and how there's just like no outside communication going on. So he begins to discover and unravel that. It gets a little bit more darker, and then the sci-fi elements of Blake Crouch come in, and it is very good, and it keeps you going throughout the entire trilogy. Very easy to blow through. They are all on Kindle Unlimited, and all 3 audiobooks are on Kindle Unlimited as well. So that's how I did those. I would just check them out through Kindle Unlimited, and then the audiobooks would just show up in my Audible account, and boom, listen to them, knocked them out real quick. So Wayward Pines Trilogy by Blake Crouch, 100% recommend. They're super easy, super fast reads. And yeah. Now to come off of that, so it's also about Wayward Pines. It was weird. I kind of gave the first 2 books 4 stars, and the 5th book is kind of like 5 stars, but as a series, as a whole, it's 5 stars. So it's a 5-star series to me. Individually, they were like 4, 4.5, but I think as a whole, it bumps it up to 5 because it does stay steady throughout, and it is very good start to finish. But coming off of that was a DNF, and that is Something Wicked This Way Comes. This is one that I've actually been looking forward to for about a year since I bought it. I had it, and I knew it was going to be a Halloween read, but I just pushed it off until this year. It is a creepy carnival that comes to town in October. The main characters are these 2 boys that are kind of discovering this carnival and how these weird things keep happening. And while the carnival left a good mystery to it, it was very interesting that way. There were some very creepy and mysterious vibes going on with everything with the carnival, and I wanted to know more. But this story was just bogged down with super artistic, like overly artistic writing. It was just metaphor after metaphor after simile with a metaphor with a simile, and just back to back to back. Like it was just way too much. There was too much roundabout ways just to describe simple things that I couldn't even picture what the heck he was trying to talk about, because it was just so convoluted behind so many freaking metaphors and just junk writing to me that the story was completely lost. The intrigue was almost completely lost. When they were actually going through a story, it was interesting, but then how he would describe it was just like taking a detour after everything to describe it was just way too much. And it wasn't even like, I wouldn't even call it like good flowery prose. It was just all this artisticness that it was just like way too, no, it just did not work for me. And there come times where I get to a book, I think I got right at about halfway. There come times in a book where I'm like not enjoying it. I debate on DNFing, and I go on like Goodreads or somewhere and look at 3-star reviews, because I feel 3-star reviews are some of the most honest ones you're going to get. You're going to get good and you're going to get bad. So if you read those and you go with, okay, I think I like some of the good things that people are saying, or oh, the bad stuff that people are saying I'm seeing now already, and if it doesn't lighten up or if it doesn't clear, and that's how I feel, then I'm just not going to enjoy it. And that's kind of how I was. I looked at 3 and even 2-star reviews, mostly 3-star reviews, and it was just like people saying that it was just too much of extra wordiness and fluff, basically. The carnival itself kind of took a backseat to all the metaphors and similes that this guy wanted to write with. So, Something Wicked This Way Comes, complete miss for me. I think, I know there's a movie. It's an older movie. I think that would be a better medium for me to check out, because like I'm actually seeing what he's trying to describe versus trying to read what he's trying to describe and picture it myself. So maybe there might be one that could be good for a remake. Next, now coming up again, is Nightfall. I finally started the Nightmareland Chronicles. I know Leslie and Andrew and I think Nico and a bunch of people everybody that's read this so far has completely loved it, and I see why. So Nightmareland Chronicles is a set of novellas. They're about 130, 140 pages. And basically the setup is one day the sun just goes out, the light goes out, everything turns dark. It's like in the morning, people are on their way to work, on their way to school, and the sun just completely goes out, everything goes dark. I think there's still power, and that kind of has a side effect that some people start going a little bit crazy, and it just all becomes pretty dark and a little bit gory at times. But and it's kind of ambitious to say, or maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but Daniel Barnett, who's the author of this, his writing style reminds me of Stephen King in the way that absolutely nothing can happen, but you're just completely captivated with how he's writing it and what's going on. Like, there are the books with like super flowery artistic prose, like I've complained about in the past, that I'm just not a fan of. They just go a little bit too extra. But then there's the ones where, yes, nothing's happening, but all of the details lend to it. You're going through someone's thought process. you're seeing and noticing what their little bit of noticing is. They're having flashbacks to relating it to something else. There's a much more relatable flow to the Stephen King and even now Daniel Barnett of how he's writing it, to where, yes, not much is actually happening, but you're just so entranced into what is going on and how these people are feeling and what they're doing that it doesn't matter. But it still leaves a huge mystery as to what the heck is going on, why is this stuff happening, and it was very fantastic. I blew through it in like a day. Granted, it's a novella, yes, so that was definitely 5 stars. Left me wanting more. And I also read another book before this, but I read the second book in it called Lullaby. Also very good. Got a little bit gory and detail-y wise on one or two things. It was fine. I'm not really that squeamish. Some people might be, but it was definitely like, he's not holding back. I think it's just, maybe he's like easing into it, but yeah, it's still very, very good. There were times where I'm kind of like confused about what the heck is going on and why there were certain things were happening, but I think it was all pretty much cleared up, because there's a mixture of like them not knowing what's going on either. So I wouldn't say it's unreliable narrator. It's just this world and what's going on is just so mysterious that it's completely hard to know everything that's going on. So in between Nightfall and Lullaby, I read The Hod King. This is book 3 in the Books of Babel series that I've been doing. We're reading one per month because in November this month, the final book, The Fall of Babel, comes out. And this has been a very good series. I have liked this a lot. One thing that I will say is like drawback is that I know a lot of people when they start the series, they're like okay about Tom, or they might like Tom, and then they eventually love Tom, and people just love Tom Senlin. I still don't care about him. I'm still lukewarm about him. He might not even be in my top 5 characters in this series because he's just kind of meh at times. He's like smart and clever at like his best side is like, yeah, he's pretty smart and clever, but then on the other side he's like really frustrating and hard-headed and dumb, and it's just like frustrating to read from, and I just don't really care. Tom's okay. I'm neutral on him. It's whatever. He drives the story. That's fine. Other characters I like way more. And if I could say, the very best character and the reason why I still am loving this series is the Tower. To me, it is 100% a character. There's a difference between fleshed out worlds and atmospheric worlds and then the world itself, how much it impacts and changes everything of what the characters are doing. So yes, the detailed world is one thing, but like the Tower is basically the main protagonist and influences every single thing that is happening and the whole reason why they're there. So I consider the Tower itself a character in a way, and it is just so fantastic. Every little bit you learn more about the Tower, and the more exploring and what's going on and how intricate it is awesome and fascinating. So I'm loving that. Really liking some of the side characters, some of the secondary ones that are very good. Edith is a character, the POV here, that I think went on too long. Didn't think it was necessary. I think there was a little bit, like, it gives you good backstory on certain things happening, but some of it was unnecessary. It just went on too much. There was early on in the book, or middle of the book, whatever, there was one little very fast like romance scene or whatever, a romance happening that happened. I don't think it fit there. I don't think it went well. I just didn't think it belonged. It was kind of abrupt and out of nowhere to me, and even within the story, it was just like it happened and then that was it. Like, okay, we're just gonna act like that didn't happen, or maybe it'll come up later. It didn't fit. It should have came at the end of the book. Just nitpicky on my end. I know some people liked it, but I was just like, that just didn't work for me. Did not fit but I'm still really enjoying the story. I think this might have been the first 5-star, or maybe 4.5. Really, really enjoy most of it, but it's not like blowing me away. But I'd still really, really like it. I'm still really into it. This was the longest book that did have a lot that happened and went on, and definitely setting up for a big finale. And I think the last book is the biggest of them all. So I think a lot still needs to happen in the last book, which is good. All right, next was an audiobook called Helldivers, which this takes place. This is one I got on as an audiobook. This is an Audible sale. Centuries and centuries from now, hundreds of years from now, there was this big nuclear fallout. I guess there was a huge nuclear war. People just started shooting at each other, and they created these hover ships that live in the sky, where everybody lives now, with their own cities. A couple hundred people live on these, And there was a bunch of them that were like that, and people were only supposed to live on these for a couple dozen years, but they've been in these for a couple hundred years, and now they're trying to keep these things afloat. The surface is uninhabitable, is filled with storms, and some places are just like super, super ridiculously nuclear winter cold. And the Helldivers are the ones that actually have to dive down onto the surface to find materials, to find resources, to find energy and battery packs and old salvage things. And they're called Helldivers because they're basically going down to hell, and they die very, very fast. They're like average life is like 10 dives and 10 to 15 dives, and pretty much they're supposed to be dead after that. And your main protagonist has done the most dives out of everyone. He's like at 96, and it's his POV and some other POVs sprinkled in. It wasn't bad. Pretty good post-apocalyptic world. Pretty good, cool spin on it, of where they're living on these ships and they have to go down and scrounge for resources, and they meet some things that make things difficult. They meet some hostiles, and the weather and the storms and everything like that proves bad. And then there's other drama and stuff going on the ship while the divers are happening. It was good, pretty high-paced. The narrator was very military-like. If you've ever heard Jocko Willink speak, it basically sounds like him. He's just very deep-voiced, just very military-like. So narration was okay. Decent story overall. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. I think I have the next 2 as well. I'll probably listen to them just because they'll just go quick and I can throw them on in the background and, whatever, in case I want an apocalyptic type setting. But that wasn't bad. So that was the last one that I read. So that was like 8 or 9 books for about 5 or 6 weeks. Not too bad. Now I have 3 books going on right now. I am listening to Play Dead, which I mentioned in my previous video. It's going really good. It's very interesting mystery. My wife listened to it before I did. She said she really liked it. And there's a 5-book series, so I'm lucky to get into that. I listened to a good bit today on my run. Good so far. Just getting into it, only like 10-15% in. Insomnia. Last week, I finally just made myself pick up Insomnia and start the book. I've been talking about it for months. Was supposed to read it earlier this year, and I just figured, if I start it in December, because we're going to be moving at some point, I'm not going to finish it. So then I'm just going to keep kicking this can down the road. So I said, forget it. I'm just going to start it now, and we're just going to go with it. So I am like 180 pages through Insomnia. It's a bit slow, but, it's still Stephen King, so I'm still pretty into it. Still really intrigued by what the heck's going on and why this person is the way he is, and there's little seeds planted to other things that happen. I heard somebody said that, like, toward the end, things get a little bit more crazy and a little bit more multiverse tie-in, so looking forward to that. The read's going fairly quick. I try and knock out a little bit here and there. And that's one thing that I absolutely love about Stephen King is that, so I hate long chapters, and while technically he has super long chapters, each chapter is broken into sections. So like each section will have like numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way down, and they might just be a couple of paragraphs. Absolutely love that with Stephen King books. It gives you a nice definitive break of when to stop, and it could be easy to be like, okay, just one more section, okay, just one more section. And that is just so much different than, I have this huge, super long chapter coming ahead. I'm just going to stop now while I'm ahead. So, yeah, that I really, really like. And then I'm reading Blood of the Mantis, which is book 3 in Shadow of the App series. A lot slower paced than book 2, but I'm still really liking it. Really liking the a little more political intricacies of happening. There's some maneuvering. It's kind of like approaching winter, so battles are kind of halted, but there's still stuff going on. There's still moves being made. Always love more Kindin to be introduced. New bug species is always awesome. New art is being introduced, which is crazy because that world is being developed. I love when a magic system and things become more complicated and more developed over time. Characters, I'm still pretty the same on. I still like Totho, even though he hasn't really done much at all in this book. Some people have been rising on my charts. Pretty interested in some other new ones, and I still kind of hate Che. She pretty much sucks and is basically pointless in the story, but that's just a rant for a whole nother time. If you want to know, if you're reading, then I can tell you more. So that's what I have going on. There's only 2 books that I will mention that I wish I read during this Halloween season. That is The Vampire Accountant. It's got a much longer title than that. It's like Harry the Vampire Accountant or something. it sounds very satirical, very funny. I know, I believe it was Pete. He recommended it very, very highly. Really liked it a lot. So, Vampire Count, and then Frankenstein. Once again, I should have read Frankenstein this year. I never have, still haven't. I had it in my hand, ready to be like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go downstairs and start reading it. And then the next day, I was just like, insomnia, here we go. Let's just read this one. So, that happened. And, that's mood reading for you. And I don't really care. It's just how I read, how I operate. So, I'll pick up Frankenstein eventually. I think it's also because I struggle with certain classics, and especially the older classics. I know I had already struggled with a couple of books recently. Something Wicked This Way Come was a DNF. Hyperion, if you watched my video, was underwhelming, and I had a lot of issues with. So I didn't want to have another ranty type book, and especially because later on in November, I'm going to be giving for the first time, giving a previous DNF a try. So we'll see how that goes. That's why I wanted to make sure that I actually have some good books that I might actually like, or know that I'll like. And, sometimes classics I need to go a little slower, and just get a little frustrated sometimes with them because the style's harder for me to connect to. But that's just purely speculation. Anyway, so that's all I got going on. Those are my October season reads. Halloween season reads. What did you read? How did your Halloween reading go? Did you take any of my recommendations from my previous videos and whatnot? If you're a Kindle Unlimited person, then check out my link below for my Kindle Unlimited list. I have been bookmarking stuff constantly there. Purely hey, go check out these books list, not a buy me books list. This is I just have it pinned for myself to know that when I want to read something, I can just go there and look and add it to my Kindle Unlimited. So go ahead, check out what I have bookmarked. But let me know how your Halloween season reads and creepy season reads have gone, and we can chat more in the comments.